Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me today is Jay Huseman. Yep, there he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jay Huseman, and we are here for the Richmond preview for the NASCAR Truck Series. So definitely looking forward to that. Two Saturday night races this week, Jay.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting weekend for the Truck Series, especially because this is it. Get in or you really become a nobody for the rest of the season because it is playoff time. This is a final regular season race for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. I know Corey Heim already clinched the title for that, and we'll get those additional 15 bonus points. But some positions within that still yet to be determined, as well as again, we could have the outside winner, could be one more additional winner, if not on points to set the playoff field. And like I said, and the drivers know it. Once you become the playoff start, if you're not one of them, unless you're winning races like what's his name did last year, Lane Riggs, you're just a side note at the very end because they're going to cover those in the playoffs.
I think one driver is not going to make the field this week, right?
Yeah, well, and I'm a little confused by this. I will start there. 37 drivers and teams for 36 spots. Notable ones, Brent Cruzen, the number one for Tricon Garage, which is odd because I thought he was starting his own team, but I wouldn't pass. I wouldn't pass up an opportunity to drive for Tricon Garage, so we'll give him that.
That's a good point.
Sammy Smith is in the number 7. Christian Ecke's in the 16, Stephen Malo in the number 22, Matthew Gold in the 41, Andres Perez de Lara is now in the number 44, Nice Motorsports. Number 45 is Bailey Curry, which is also Nice Motorsports. Then the number 52 is Caden Honeycutt. That's the Stuart Friesen Hallmeyer Racing. Luke Fenhouse in the number 66, Ryan Roulette, the number 67, Caleb Costner, the 74, Patrick Starpoli in the number 84, and then the number 77 is Corey LaJoy. 97 is Carson Cavapo.
Do we know who's in the O2? Is there anybody in the O2 that they mentioned there?
It doesn't mention it on here.
Young's Motorsport. It's got TBA on there.
Yeah, so that one is on there. You're right. It is listed on a different page of to be announced, but that one is not filled in. Because they still have 37 listed there, but they didn't have that one on the list.
That's what we know as of right now anyway. Now the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will race the eero 250 at Richmond Raceway. That is a 3/4 mile asphalt oval, and they're racing this Friday, August the 15th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be televised on Fox Sports 1 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and you can listen on the radio at NASCAR's radio network or Sirius XM NASCAR Channel 90. They are going to race that distance of 187.5 miles over 250 laps. The first stage ends on lap 70. Second stage, also 70 laps, ends on lap 140. The last stage will be 110 laps, ending on lap 250. Now, they'll have the Craftsman Truck Series practice and Kennametal pole qualifying on Fox Sports 2 at 2 p.m. on Friday. And then they will also have the eero 250 race, as we mentioned, at 7:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. So lots to talk about here with the Truck Series, their last race of the season, of the regular season, before their playoffs begin. So we're going to know when this race is over, Jay.
We will indeed, and it'll be an interesting battle. We'll get to that when we talk about points. But starting this weekend marks the 17th running of a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Richmond Raceway, which is the 4th most among all short tracks in series history.
And Richmond hosted a race annually since 2020 after previously hosting one race a year from 1995 to 2005.
Now, Richmond is the 5th of 7 short tracks here on the season in 2025.
All right. We already know who the series champion is. Corey Heim clinched the 2025 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series regular season championship after Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. So he'll have a lot to celebrate when that race is over, no matter what.
He will indeed. And with that win at Watkins Glen last weekend, Corey Heim became the first driver since William Byron in 2016 to win 6 of the season's first 17 races.
And the Truck Series playoff bubble went from 61 points to 16 points after Stuart Friesen missed Watkins Glen.
And I'm going to throw this in here now, and we'll look at it when we talk about the point standings as well. But right now it would be Jake Garcia in by 11 over Ben Rhodes. It says if Stuart Friesen, because he has not yet asked for a playoff waiver, if he doesn't ask for it or isn't approved, honestly don't see it happening.
Right.
So right now, as you mentioned, certainly brought it a lot closer, so that'll make it this much more exciting. Because all drivers more than 57 points below 10th are in a must-win situation. Again, we'll look at those drivers when we get to that.
Last year's Richmond race had 12 lead changes. That's the second most in a Richmond race, behind 17 in 1999.
Now, here's a very interesting thing. Only 2 stage winners have gone on to win at Richmond, both winning for stage number 2. John Hunter Nemechek in 2021 and Chandler Smith in 2022. So Richmond doesn't condone itself to being up front mid-race as it does to at the end.
Now, 3 drivers have earned their first Craftsman Truck Series win at Richmond. Terry Labonte did it in 1995, Bob Keselowski in 1997, and Tony Stewart in 2002.
Now, this is another one I find actually kind of amazing. None of the 5 races since the Craftsman Truck Series has returned to Richmond in 2020 has ended in overtime. Short tracks, you always kind of maybe expect that. Apparently not so at Richmond.
Now, 3 of the last 5 races at Richmond had a final lead change in the final 8 laps of the race.
I like that one. Another one that's kind of odd, the driver who led the most laps failed to win the last 2 Richmond races. So again, stage wins and leading lots of laps, not so good at Richmond.
And this is kind of interesting. Qualifying was rained out or canceled for each of the last 3 Craftsman Truck Series short track races. That's not good news.
No, and I know they were talking about weather already for this weekend. So yeah.
Gosh.
Maybe watching some other entertaining things on FS2 tomorrow during the day.
I guess so.
Now, Front Row Motorsports has won 4 of the last 6 short track races, including each of the last 3.
And Chandler Smith has 1 Truck Series and 2 Xfinity Series wins at Richmond. So he may be one to really watch tomorrow.
And Corey Heim has led 347 of the 905 laps on short tracks this season, which is 38.3%, but yet hasn't won. And we've talked about this. He has found ways to lose different races. I would not have equated it to the short tracks, but apparently on short tracks is where a lot of that misfortune happens.
Now, Tyler Ankrum finished in the top 10 in the last 11 races on short tracks. That's the longest active streak.
That's a pretty solid one, too. Daniel Dye raced his way into the playoffs from 5 points below the cut line entering Richmond in 2024. I remember being excited about that. He was the only driver to get in from below the cut line on points in that last race of the regular season.
And the all-time record for wins in a season is 9, and that was Greg Biffle in 1999. Corey Heim currently has 6 wins with 8 races remaining in the season. Did you get a chance to listen to the Kyle Keller interview?
I did not know.
Okay, he talked about racing with Greg Biffle because Greg ended up finishing 3rd in that race.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really interesting what he had to say there. But we've got some clinch scenarios coming up here too.
We do, again, because it is that final race of the regular season. So 8 drivers have now clinched a spot in the 10-driver postseason field. Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith, Daniel Hemrick, Grant Enfinger. Oh, sweet. Ty Majeski's locked in. Tyler Ankrum, as well as Rajah Crew. Now, if there's a repeat win or a win by a driver who cannot advance in the playoffs, drivers that would clinch by being ahead of the 5th winless driver in the standings. These same requirements listed would be true if the new win comes from Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski, or Caden Honeycutt. Caden Honeycutt would clinch regardless of finish. Jake Garcia would do so with 45 points. Ben Rhodes on the outside and Giovanni Ruggerio, would need help. Drivers that would clinch if the win were to come by Jake Garcia, Caden Honeycutt would regardless of finish then. Now, if the new winner is Ben Rhodes or another winless driver lower in the standings but still eligible to advance, the following drivers would have to be ahead of the fourth winless driver in the standings. Caden Honeycutt would only need 3 points, whereas Jake Garcia then would need some help. Drivers that could still clinch on their win alone, these would be ones that are eligible for the postseason. Honeycutt, Garcia, Rhodes, Ruggerio, already mentioned. Then you got Tanner Gray, Connor Mozak, Matt Crafton, Andres Perez de Lara, Matt Mills, Jack Wood, Dawson Sutton, Spencer Boyd, Tony Breidinger, and Frankie Munoz. And that means they fall under that requirement of attempting to qualify and make every race, because that is still a requirement.
There's a lot of activities this week at the track as well. There was something that happened on Tuesday already, track laps for charity featuring Chase Briscoe. That was from 5 to 7 on Tuesday night. But then on Wednesday night, they had the finish line party on the Q Rooftop Bar at Quirk Hotel. And I've got a few activities here for Friday and Saturday. So Friday, August the 15th, the NASCAR Foundation's Pediatrics Fun Day Festival will take place starting at 10 a.m. to noon. The NASCAR Foundation is hosting kids from the Peter Paul Development Center at the Richmond Raceway and the Fan Zone for the Pediatrics Fun Day Festival. The NASCAR-themed field day inside that experience display promotes healthy lifestyle habits for children in the local racing communities through racing-themed lifestyle programming. So the NASCAR Foundation does so many great things with pediatrics. So this is just one of those great things that they're doing. Also on Friday, August the 15th, there's the Who's Your Driver tailgate with Ross Chastain. That starts at 2 o'clock on Friday when you can meet the driver, Ross Chastain. He drives the #1 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet for a fun-filled tailgate in the Lot D parking area, just outside the Fan Zone experience, and sign up to make your safe driving pledge. Who's Your Driver is a sober and safe driving initiative from Drive Smart Virginia, a nonprofit organization with a mission to eliminate alcohol-related crashes and to educate citizens on safe driving practice. Now, on Friday and Saturday, the 15th and 16th, is the NASCAR and Car Show. This year, as part of the free race weekend, Fan Zone Richmond Raceway is partnering with Crossroads Gallery for a juror art show themed around speed and racing. Come and see a one-of-a-kind works from 34 nationally selected artists on exhibit alongside classic, vintage, and other racing automobiles. And then on Saturday, August the 16th, Brittany Anderson, celebrity guest and chef appearance in the Torque Club. Brittany Anderson's Food Network triple threat winner, who defeated Bobby Flay's Titans, will be cooking up some small bites to share along with some of her culinary wisdom with Torque Club guests from 3 to 6 p.m. That's prior to the green flag dropping for the Cookout 400. You may also remember that Brittany from other Food Network competitions, Tournament of Champions, Iron Chef America, Last Bite Hotel, 24 and 24, as well as Bravo TV's Top Chef Season 18. She is the chef and owner of several renowned local restaurants, including Metzger Bar, Butchery, Brenner Pass, Black Lodge, and the Pink Room. So pretty exciting to have all those activities around the track this weekend.
You know, I hate to say it, but that is one of those things. If you go to a NASCAR race, the food booths or different things they have when it comes to that You put a little extra weight on, you got to go on that track walk or something to walk it off. But I've been to several of those. Definitely worth it. I will say that it might hurt you in the long run, on the scales the following week. But man, track food, you can't beat that.
Yes, indeed. Okay, now do you have the points report? The playoff?
So we talked about it. Corey Heim locked it up. He's already 178 points ahead of Lane Riggs. And Sharon will cover the playoff points because Corey Heim has 45 already and going to add to that. Chandler Smith is third at 186 back. Then you got Daniel Hemrick, Grant Infinger, Ty Majeski, and Tyler Ankrum. And those 7 pretty much don't matter other than their seeding and where they'll get their bonus points. And then it'll be shuffled up, as Sharon's going to talk about, with the playoff points. Again, Corey Heim, I just look at that, 45. The next highest I see is 16. That's already almost 30 points of bonus points built up. Holy cow. But the battle will be, we mentioned Caden Honeycutt at 523, Jake Garcia at 469, and then Ben Rhodes at 458. Giovanni Ruggerio in 11th. So the battle is between them. Rajah Caruth will move in as he has his victory, which puts the line between Jake Garcia and Ben Rhodes, as we mentioned, 11 points there, the difference.
Exactly. Now, if you look at the playoff standings, this is the reseeding based on their wins and their playoff points. Corey Heim, of course, is still at the top of the list. Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith are second and third because they both have 2 wins. Then the drivers with 1 win are Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Ankrum, and Rajah Caruth. Stuart Friesen had a win, but he's no longer in it. So we won't include him. But then next in 7th place is Grant Infinger at 549 points, 80 points to the good. Ty Majeski in 8th place, 73 points to the good. And Caden Honeycutt, 54 points to the good. We mentioned Jake Garcia moves up to fill the spot that Stuart Friesen vacates. And he is in that 10th transfer spot. Then you've got Ben Rhodes, 65 out. Actually, I think they said it reduces now to 16 points out.
Well, looking at this, it's 11 points. I've seen all 3. The big gap would have been Jake Garcia to Caden Honeycutt if Stuart Friesen were in. So it should be the 11 points between Jake Garcia and Ben Rhodes.
So there you have the playoff points as they stand right now. Now, somebody from below that cut line could win on Friday night, and then that would bounce Jake Garcia out if he's not the winner. He could be the winner too. Who knows?
And that's where it would jump back up to being a 50-point battle between Jake Garcia and Caden Honeycutt. And that is right on that verge of you got to have max points and they got to have 0 or 1.
It doesn't matter, okay, because after this race, the season's over.
Oh, you're right. Well, Jake Garcia. So it would still be a battle between Garcia and Rhodes then as far as – so, yeah, really, because if the winner were to come from below the line, that would push Garcia out. No, if we were to get a winner from below the cut line, then it would be Jake Garcia out, and he would have to catch Caden Honeycutt, which is that 50-plus point.
Now, to your point, though, during the race, that can fluctuate between Ben Rhodes and Jake Garcia. So it just depends. That's something we'll be watching very closely on Friday night.
Yeah, and I know some fans might get frustrated with that of saying they're covering these 2 more than usual. But, yeah, you can guarantee they're going to be watching stage points because we saw that the last couple weeks already where drivers were making or teams making decisions of getting stage points to pad that. So it's going to be a huge, huge focus on Jake Garcia and Ben Rhodes. And like I said, mathematically, Caden Honeycutt could get eliminated if a new winner were to come from below the cut line. however unlikely. But that would mean Garcia and Ben Rhodes both out of it. So, if their strategy is the points racing each other and keeping an eye on each other, if somebody say, and I'll just pull one from below the line, Tanner Gray is up there and leading the race and looks like he may have a shot at winning, they got to change their philosophy to win, because at that point they'd both be out. It don't matter who outscores who.
Exactly right. Now, again, that race at Richmond, that race starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time Friday night on FS1. But the next race for the Cup Series or Truck Series after that, because that's their regular season finale, the next race is the first race of their playoffs, and that's on August 30th at Darlington Raceway. Last year's winner of this race, Jay, was Ty Majeski.
Yeah, he's got that going for him. Again, I was just happy to see him. I guess I hadn't looked after Watkins Glen that he had officially locked in on points. I knew he was right around that line of being able to lock in. So your defending champion from the race as well as the season, not been the strongest season. You mentioned he's right now 6 in points. He's going to get bumped down to 8th or so based on the reseeding. So going to have a tough hoe of it to do again of a repeat. Glad to see Grant Enfinger in there as well. Another one that, again, we talked about the heartbreak of not being eligible a few years back, and I think he should have been, but I digress.
Okay. Anything more before we move on, Jay?
I don't know if for sure, but I want to say it might have been Greg Biffle. When I talked about if you aren't in the playoffs of the lack of coverage, it might have been Greg Biffle that made that comment of you get treated like a second-class citizen after that. Yeah. One of the drivers I know made that comment back when the Cup Series first went to the playoffs, and they weren't a part of it. And they said, yeah, you ain't nobody after that.
Okay, now do watch for more coming soon, because we do have 3 races this weekend with the Truck Series, the Cup Series, and the ARCA Menard Series racing on dirt this weekend at Illinois State Fairgrounds. After that, on Friday, we've got the fantasy report for the NASCAR Cup Series, where we help fans with choices for your fantasy picks. And then we'll be back on the other side of the weekend with all the reviews for those 3 races, as well as our Hot Topic Sound Off at 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on Fanfa Racing Radio. Again, it'll just be me and Jay. Chris is going to be kind of on the exhausted side after a heavy weekend and week. So
I got the hat on, the Street Stock Nationals hat I got a couple years ago. So
very good, very good. So we're thinking about you, Chris. Okay, and then of course, before we go, we want to make sure we tell everyone thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate the time that you take to hear what we have to say. And with that, Jay, I think we're ready to move on to the next video.
All right, talk to you soon.